Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Stop panicking about grammar. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the 12 English tenses, you're not alone. First up, we have the simple tenses, which are your foundation. We have 3 simple tenses. First, the present simple. We use the present simple when we talk about things that are always true, regular, or part of a routine. We also use this for facts, habits, and general truths. For examples, our routine. I wake up at 7 a.m. Our habits. She drinks coffee every morning. Our facts. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Or our schedules. The bus leaves at 9 p.m. Next is the past simple, which we use for completed action. So when an action is finished and done at a specific time in the past, we use this tense. For example, I visited my friend yesterday. We watched a movie last night. He cooked dinner. We can also use this to describe a sequence of events. I woke up, got dressed, and left the house. The last simple tense is the future simple. We use the future simple when the future action is 1. A spontaneous decision that you're deciding right now. So for example, I'm hungry. I will order food. Secondly, a prediction. Something you think will happen. For example, it will rain tomorrow. Or thirdly, a promise or an offer. For example, I will help you. I will carry that for you. Next, we're going to be moving on to the continuous tenses, and you have to think about these as your temporary tenses. So first, we have the present continuous. We use this for a few things. So first, we can use the present continuous to talk about events which are happening in progress at the moment of speaking. For example, I'm cooking now. I'm talking now. We can also use this for temporary states. So we use the present continuous to talk about temporary states which are true around the moment of speaking. For example, her mother's living with her at the moment. We also use the present continuous to describe actions that are repeated or regular, but which we believe to be temporary. For example, I'm not drinking much coffee these days. I'm trying to cut down. And this is repeated or regular, but it's only temporary. It's not something that's going to be happening as a habit or for the long term. Something that everyone should keep in mind, and that's a common mistake, is using this tense for habits. Okay, so sometimes it's hard to differentiate between I'm going to school or I go to school. Okay, the correct one from here is I go to school because it's a habit. It's something that you do every day, and so that's why I'm going to school is incorrect, okay? A lot of people will also add what I like to call like a keyword at the end. So if it's like I go to school every day, then there's even more emphasis on explaining and telling you that this is something that's happening repeatedly and it's a routine or a habit. Next is the past continuous. So we use this for an action that's in progress at a specific time in the past. And lastly, the future continuous. So this is used for an action that will be in progress at a specific time in the future. So for example, I will be studying at 8 p.m. tonight. She will be watching TV this evening. They will be traveling tomorrow morning. Something that usually confused me is the difference between future simple and future continuous. As a reminder, your future simple, it's really focused on the decision or the intention or the promise. Okay, so I will clean the room. This implies that you're telling someone that you're promising to do that action, i.e. cleaning the room. If you say, I will be cleaning the room, this is more focused on the actual activity that's happening in progress. It's telling someone that you will be, tidying up or washing or whatever it is, but you're gonna actually be cleaning the room, and it's more focused on the activity in progress. Now let's move on to the perfect tenses. We have 3 different kinds of perfect tenses. So first is the present perfect. The present perfect can be used for some different situations. So first, we can use it to talk about a past action with a result now. So the action is finished, but the effect matters now. For example, she has lost her keys. We use the present perfect here because the result matters now. Because she lost her keys, she can't enter the apartment building. We also use the present perfect to talk about life experiences. And there's no specific time with these life experiences. So we don't say when it happened. We just say something general like, I have been to Paris. He has never tried pizza. We don't say, I have been to Paris in 2019. Okay, this is when you add the specific time, it's wrong grammatically. And we also use the present perfect for recently completed actions. And you'll often see signal words like just, already, and yet for these kind of sentences. For example, they have just arrived. I have already sent an email. Have you finished yet? Next, I want to move on to the past perfect. The past perfect is used to show an action that happened before another past action. So if you try to look at this diagram I have here, we can see that in the past something happened, and then right after in the past another event happened. Okay, so for example, I say I had eaten breakfast before I went to school. So first I ate breakfast in the past, and then I went to school, which is also in the past. Future perfect is used to show an action that will be completed in the future before a certain future time. For example, I will have finished my homework by 8 p.m. Okay, so by this 8 p.m. time in the future, I will have finished my homework. Another example, she will have traveled to 10 countries by the end of 2026. The future is end of 2026, and also in the future, but before end of 2026, she will have the traveling to 10 countries will be happening. Okay? And for each of these tenses, it's also really important to look for signal or keywords is my tip. Okay, so for example, the past perfect often uses words like before, after, by the time, or when. And the future perfect often uses words like by, before, or by the time. And these words can be really helpful in identifying which tense to use on an exam. Okay, so now let's move on to our next group. We're almost there, guys, almost done. But this is the perfect continuous. And these are really important for emphasizing one thing, which is duration. So first, we have the present perfect continuous. The present perfect continuous is used to show an action that started in the past and is happening now or has just stopped, often with the focus on how long that action has been happening. So for example, I have been studying English for 2 hours. Now, we started 2 hours ago and we're still studying now, or we just finished. Another example, she has been working at that company since 2022. Okay, so we started in 2022 and we still work there. Okay, so we started in the past, it's still happening now, and there's this focus on how long it has been happening. The past perfect continuous is to show an ongoing action that was happening before another past action. Okay, so she had been playing in the park when I arrived. There's this continuous action that was happening in the past, and then another past specific moment, someone arriving occurred. Another example is I had been studying for 2 hours before my friend called. She had been working at the company for 5 years when she got promoted. How do we differentiate and tell the difference between past perfect continuous and past perfect? Understanding what and when to use each tense is not enough, but also what really helps is understanding the differences. We use the past perfect continuous when an action was in progress before another past action. On the other hand, we use the past perfect when an action is completed before another past action. So in both cases, some past action is happening before a second past action, but one has the action being in progress and the other has the action being completed. And then lastly, we have the future perfect continuous tense. And this is used to show how long an action has been happening by a certain point in the future. Okay, so an example, by next month, I will have been studying English for 3 years. And this shows us the duration leading up to a future point. So we've gone through all 12 tenses. So now let's review and look at the differences between each more clearly. I made this little chart that you guys are welcome to screenshot. Okay everyone, so now that we've reviewed the different tenses and what they mean, I want to go over some question samples to see if we can apply our learning. So the first question, take a moment to read it and to make your choice, and then we can go over the correct answer together. So the correct answer here is C, had been hiding. Now why is this the correct answer? So first we can see that there's two events in the past. The suspect hiding and the police finding him. So when I see that there's two events that happened in the past, I immediately think, okay, it's either the past perfect or the past perfect continuous. Now we also see that the suspect hiding for 12 hours in the forest is a continuous action because the keywords for over 12 hours, right? So the suspect has been there for such a long time. And that's why the answer is past perfect continuous, had been hiding. We want to show that an ongoing action started before another past action. Okay, so the second question, the answer here is B. My friends saw the film yesterday. This question is a straightforward case of the past simple, and the key word here is the time marker yesterday. In English, when a sentence includes a specific finished time reference, like with the words yesterday, last week, in 2010, with those words, you can immediately think, okay, it's happening in a specific time in the past and I should use the past simple. So in this case, it means that the act of watching the film started and ended entirely in the past. The third question is a question form instead of the typical sentence structure. And the answer for this is B. How long have you been waiting for the bus? Now, we're using the present perfect continuous here because the question asks about an action that started in the past and is still happening at the moment the person is speaking. You are still standing at the bus stop and the bus has not arrived yet. Some other key clues that we can use to tell that this is present perfect continuous tense is the keyword how long, because it's talking about the span of time between the past and the present. Because waiting is an ongoing process, it's not a single click of an action, we use the continuous form. There's also the present perfect option, which some people might want to use and get confused by. So if we were to use present perfect in this sentence, it would be, how long have you waited for the bus? And this also makes sense. There's a very subtle difference between the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. And the main difference is that if we use the present perfect, then we're saying, okay, the bus just arrived and you're just going on the bus. You can also quickly go over the other options. So it's not option A, are you waiting? Because this is the present continuous. And this asks what you are doing right now. It cannot be used with the word how long to describe a duration starting from the past. C, had waited. This is the past perfect and it requires a second action in the past. So it would make sense to use this tense if the sentence was, how long had you waited before the taxi arrived? And did you wait? Option D is the past simple, and this could work if we wanted to say, how long did you wait for the bus yesterday? Now that's it for my video. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribe for more English learning. Bye!